Today I'm going to be sharing with you guys my first Cypher attacking guide for Ascent. This is going to include placements for things like cameras, tripwires, and cages, as well as when and why I use them that way. I'm probably going to do this for every map, and if there are changes to things like better camera spots or better tripwire spots, then I will definitely be making updated videos as well. So if you want to see those future videos, then make sure you hit that subscribe button. So first up, we are going to start with our tripwires, which you're going to want to make sure you're placing in the buy phase. So there's a couple of different tripwire placements that you can use if you're attacking a site. So if you know your team is going to be working towards a site, then what I like to do is put a trip right here.
Yes, this should do.
And the reason I like this trip is because it blocks off anyone who might be pushing up cat or mid and trying to flank once you take site. Another really important tripwire for this is right here outside of B main.
Oh, this is a nice spot.
Once again, this is important for knowing if the enemy is pushing out B main and gathering information or setting up a flank. So if this tripwire gets hit and nobody from your team is on this side of the map, they're going to start sending people to rotate towards a site because they know you're setting up an A push. If I know my team is going quick A or doing some sort of A split like up catwalk, then I will only do this wire. That way I have a wire for post plant. So if you're working a default, these are pretty good wires that you can use as well, as they cover the main ways that people are going to be leaving each site to try and flank you. Another alternate wire for a site is right here.
This goes here.
Just in case you want to change it up a little bit, but this wire is only good for stopping someone pushing out a main and not stopping someone from pushing out cat, as obviously they can jump over it with the boxes. So once the round starts and we're moving towards a site, there's a couple of different cameras I like to use. The first one here is one that I've shown you guys in a previous video, and it requires a teammate to be looking out for an A main peek. But if you have a teammate watching over you, this camera allows you to get information for your teammates that are pushing up catwalk and getting catwalk control for the A split. So the first camera is right here. You just want to jump and place it at the corner of this green box just like this. And then boom, you get a pretty quick peek into catwalk. So you can see if someone is hiding in this cubby right here, and you can see if someone is holding an angle like this here, just peeking the catwalk in general. But another camera that I like to use from up here as well is actually just placing it along the wall of the archway just like this. So this will catch anyone out who's peeking from the generator, and even if your camera gets destroyed, at least you have that information. Typically, I will use this camera if my team is already set up to make a push out of a main. Most of the time, the camera I'm using is actually from down here though. It's basically the same camera, just from the ground level here. It's just like this, which also allows you to check close left and basically get the same information here. You actually see more of the site. So if you don't see anyone peeking with this camera, then you know they're either close right, which the camera can't see, behind the generator, behind double boxes, under heaven, or behind the wall of heaven. Typically though, this camera will catch someone who is peeking from either the left or the right side here of the generator. So once you start getting that sort of information, your team is ready to make a push out. What I like to do for the cages is throw one right to the left here, just like this, detonate it, and start running out. This blocks off anyone who might be playing in tree room or garden peeking this, or anyone just close left in general. If they are right here, then you will hear them enter the cage as they're pushing you. But if they aren't to the left either way, that's still extra cover for you to clear these close angles. Another cage that I'll often throw once you get onto site is just aiming high like this and bouncing it off the wall of heaven and popping it for heaven. Oftentimes it will already be smoked, but still, if it's not, that's a good way you can use your one extra cage. So let's say bomb is down right in front of the generator, as it's a very common plant spot. What I like to do for post plant situations is, if I have a tripwire, firstly I'll be placing one right here like this. And this tripwire allows for an easy wallbang if someone is quickly running through heaven and they hit it. This floor can be shot through with any gun. So for post plant cameras, one that I really like is just one along this wall here, basically anywhere in this area that allows you to peek heaven. As once again, the same idea applies as a tripwire. If you tag someone with this camera, you can get an easy wallbang kill while also having good coverage of all three of the entrances into site and coverage of the bomb in most of the common plant spots, such as in front of the generator, and you'll be able to see if anyone is defusing if the bomb is planted in front of default. Another good camera spot I like in a pinch is just jumping and placing it on the wall like this. For the same reasons, basically, you'll be able to see if anyone jumps down from heaven, you'll be able to see if anyone pushes through a tree or a main. But another good post-plant camera, if you have time to get to it, is right here at the bottom of this column. It's a little bit harder to see from someone who is just quickly running out of heaven. And basically, this camera will allow you to see if anyone is pushing heaven, pushing a main, and depending on where the bomb is planted, you'll be able to see them if they are on the bomb. Not a lot of people know about this camera, so that makes it especially good because the defending team retaking the site often isn't going to spend time looking for the camera, especially if you aren't tagging people with it. As for general post-plant positioning as Cypher, I like to play on site. That way I can try and stall the bomb defuse as long as possible, while my teammates with actual stalling abilities such as a molly hide and can play safer. So now for attacking B site, and starting with the Tripwires. The first tripwire I always want to place right when the buy phase starts is right here at A, just like this. And you want to place that tripwire at A first because if you're going B with your team, especially through B main or mid link, then you need to be here as the round starts to not waste any time. So place the A tripwire first, then you can come over here and place the tripwire at B main to catch anyone pushing for information out of B main. So when the round starts, if you're planning on going mid to B, what you can do to get information with your camera is place it just above this metal box, and you get a pretty good view of catwalk in case someone's pushing cat, but you can also see if anyone is peeking market or back mid. So assuming you saw nobody there and assuming the catwalk is smoked off, you can then start walking out with your team right outside the courtyard gate here. And once your camera's back up, you can again place it on the wall just like this and use it to clear out these close angles as well as mark it again. So then you push further up mid, and by this point you've probably killed 1 or 2 people mid, and it's pretty likely that someone from A is rotating towards mid. So what you can do is throw a cage right here and pop it. That way your team basically has a quick smoke to push into market. Then by this point, if you're in market and you still have your other cage, you can do the same thing. Just throw a cage right here and pop it to block off the defender's spawn. And the way I like to clear this is pop the cage, you clear this close angle, then you can clear cubby here and start taking a more aggressive push towards the site. So if you're attacking B site through B main, a really simple camera, but probably the most effective one, is placing it just out here, right outside of B main. Obviously, you need to have control of this angle right here, or just general control of B main. So this camera is great for clearing out anyone who might be playing either of these angles at the boathouse, or anyone playing on the ramp or the defender spawn. So you've cleared out all these angles, you've pushed up B main. What I like to do for a cage is just throw one right here, right at market, and pop it. That way you can try and help your team get out a little bit safer. And what I like to do with the other cage is just throw it right here to block off the defender spawn. So you have control of B main here, and then you can just throw your cages down like this. Obviously with your team here protecting you as well, your team should be ready to execute with you. You can't be doing this solo. You pop your cages, and then you can start clearing these close angles, clear the cubby, and then start pushing towards site. So as for post-plant cameras, basically anything along this wall is pretty good, as it gives you a great view of site as well as lane and the defender spawn. But placing your camera in the corner here is another option as well, as you can see if someone pushes down ramp, and you can see if someone pushes out B main or is pushing out of market and down lane. Another good post-plant camera that you can place right as soon as you start getting control of B site is right here, basically at the peak of the boathouse, just like this. This camera allows you to see all 3 entrances that the defenders could be using to retake the site. So as for post-plant positioning, I think being in the boathouse right here is pretty good. Obviously, Cypher doesn't have any sort of damage over time ability to stall the defuse, so it's better for you to just play on site and take gunfights as you need to try and stall as long as possible for your teammates that do have abilities to stall the bomb defuse. So that is how I like to play the attacking side as Cypher on Ascent. If there's anything you guys think I missed or any other questions you might have, be sure to leave it in the comments down below as I read most of the comments. And if you want to see more Valorant videos and guides like this, then I would greatly appreciate it if you hit that subscribe button.